was going to get drafted, but I didn't. And the big deal about that is like, I'm trying to just imagine like you're waiting for something like you know is going to come and it doesn't show up. And that's the first time in my life where I really felt like I didn't have control over my life. It was the first time I felt like I didn't know my worth in that moment. Next day, I get a call from the Indianapolis Colts. You after they win the Super Bowl, Coach Dungy, and they want to bring me as a high priority free agent. So what does that mean? A high priority free agent means that people wanted to draft you, they just didn't get to you. So you're like the first choice. But a free agent means you have to work your way up. You know, I mean, it's a business. So just if you have a first-round draft pick that you pay millions of dollars to, you're not going to give a free agent his spot. You know, I mean, unless he just really sucks and bums it. And so I had to work my way up. With the Colts, I had a great preseason. I'm thinking I'm going to make the team. I ended up going to the practice squad. And, you know, they made all these promises to me. And I went ahead and bought my apartment. I got a new car because that was a promise I made to myself. 3 weeks in being in Indianapolis, I get cut. And I thought they were playing at first. They were like, hey, come bring in your playbook. And I've been cut so many times, I know what that means now. But I thought I was like, okay, maybe they want to update my playbook or something. But really, it was a Tuesday, which is terrible Tuesday in the NFL. That's the day they do the cuts. And they told me they didn't need me. It's a numbers game. And so I drove from Indy to Texas. And so I don't know if you ever drove a long drive after something tragic happens, like me getting fired. It's very lonely. It seemed like it took 30 hours. When I got home, I was teaching myself not to deal with it because you got to think about it. Not many people make it to the NFL. So everyone in my city knows me, and they know that if I'm home in September, like, it's football season. Why are you here? So I showed to myself in my parents' house in my room, and I didn't go out. And at that moment, I realized that I was teaching myself to run from my reality and not deal with my depression. A week later, I get called back to the Colts. And so that's my whole NFL career, like 3 years of that, like literally getting cut, getting released, getting signed, getting cut again. I probably got cut 10 to 13 times throughout my career. And it was 2002 situations really changed my life. And I'll get into the questions. Number one was the birth of my son, Tristan. Tristan wasn't playing. Me and Maria, we're married now. Tristan is 11 years old, about to be 12. It's crazy how time flies. But Tristan wasn't playing. And so I was looking not at Tristan, but at the situation as a disappointment. I'm a pastor's son. You know, I'm thinking I'm going to get married first and do it the right way. And I'll tell you this, Tristan was my greatest rescue. And I want to just say this while it's on my heart. Sometimes what you think is a disappointment could be your greatest rescue. And Tristan was my greatest rescue because he made me realize that I'm a leader. That's the first time in my life that I realized that I had to take on the responsibility of being a leader. And I want to tell everybody on this call right now, you are a leader, whether you have kids or not. Somebody somewhere sometime is looking at you, watching what you do. How are you influencing them? You're either influencing them 3 ways: to not do nothing, which is one way, to be worse, or to be better. And I say, you know what? I have to change my lifestyle because during that time, I'm in the football world. I'm not saying all football players are like this or all athletes. I know we get a bad stigma with that, but it's the life. I mean, everything you dreamed of is right there. Celebrities, everything. And he made me get right as a man. The second situation, well, I moved to 2009 is when I started rehab time. I just got cut from the Seahawks. I'm in my room breaking down in tears, and for no reason at all, honestly. Like, maybe I didn't know what my future was holding. I wish I had a magical moment to tell you. I just remember looking in my room, looking at trophies, all my accomplishments, breaking down. Is like, what's next? And the words that came to my mind was rehab time. And so I never wanted to be a speaker, ever. I never wanted to write books. I didn't like to read books at the time. And I just said it's rehab time. So that meant mind, body, and soul for me, like getting right. 2011 is when I really started taking it serious. My best friend committed suicide. My college roommate committed suicide. And it was my promise to him that I would step into this role, even though I didn't know what that role was at the time, but I would step into helping people because I felt like he took his life because of a relationship that went bad and because football that went bad. And he felt like there was nothing more to his life. So I've dedicated myself since 2011, like seriously, to speaking to people's self-worth and letting people know that, you know, just because certain things don't go right doesn't mean your life can't go right. And that's kind of a synopsis of the whole story.
Wow. I absolutely love that. Wow. Okay. So I'm just going to ask you, okay, so I've kind of strategically placed these in order of like what I think should be asked first to last. But we're just wondering, so you're speaking to a lot of women. Okay. So
Yeah.
I think that we need to talk about quickly the comparison game. How
Cool.
do you, how do you manage that?
Yeah, like comparing your life to other people, especially in the social media world. You got to realize, I mean, obviously, we know that comparison kills everything. Comparison kills your dreams, it kills your progression, because oftentimes what we're doing is we're comparing our behind the scenes to someone's highlight reel, right? Or we're comparing someone's chapter 3,000 to our chapter 1. And it's something that I tell people all the time. It's like, even when people start, like, they'll reach out to me and be like, man, I can never get to where you're at. I said, you're looking at me a decade into it. Like, understand where I first started at. And your race is your race. Like, even if, you were comparing your life and saying, okay, I want to be just like that person. I want to be just like that. It's okay to be influenced by somebody, to take what you need from them, but there's no reason to be just like them. Like, you are unique. And I say this because, think about this. I'll put it into this way. Like, it's a lot of women on here, obviously. If there was a purse, right, that you really loved, and it was a one-of-one purse, meaning that no other purse is ever made, how would y'all value that, right? Just give me a thumbs up if you really value it. Right? You guys would love it, right? Or some shoes, if you love shoes or whatever. It's one-on-one, it's custom made. Why can't we value our lives like that? Because you have to understand, I know you know the statistics, 7 billion people, but there's only one of you. Your uniqueness is your greatest gift. So when you look at somebody else's life, just tell yourself, I could be comparing my life to something that, number one, isn't real. I can be comparing my life to something that if I had, I wouldn't enjoy. And you got to focus on your race, because when we run other people's races, we tend to burn out, right? My mother told me this, and I'll never forget it. She said, Trent, and this helps me with comparison. She said, Trent, no matter how you try to be like someone else, your greatest gift is you being you. And when you truly, authentically just be yourself, right? Your positive self to the world, you're going to make an impact. Because there's people assigned in this world, and I'll never forget this, that will need your message. And I want you to hear this, watching this right now. There's people literally that you guys can reach, you ladies can reach in here, that I couldn't reach at all, right? Mr. Rehab Time, I couldn't. Because some people are going to identify with you. The way you speak, the way you look, the way you smile, the way you articulate things, the way you inspire. And when we truly hone that gift, that's when our power is created. You'll never be as powerful as you can be trying to be someone else. Okay, so I know in social media, even subconsciously we do it. I do it too. But I look in the mirror and I remind myself of who I am. So I want you to remember who you are, like literally when that happens. And you're special, you're unique. And don't let a perfection filter make you think more imperfect about yourself, because it's the flaws and the things that are imperfect about ourselves that make us who we are. Own it, be transparent, and give your gift to the world.
I love that you said focus on your own race. Like, that is so true. Just stay in your own lane. Like, don't look left, don't look right. Just like put your blinders on and be like authenticity. We're all learning is like, you won't be able to fake it in this world if you're not authentic. Like, people can catch on to that BS so fast, right? So I think that's super, super, such an important message. Okay. So the next thing we wanted to ask you was, what does your morning routine look like, / your personal growth routine?
Pre-quarantine or right now quarantine? No, I try, and listen, I'm always tell people, like, I don't ever want to be the guy that's like, oh, this every morning is like this for me. I would be lying. My perfect morning, I try to do this as much as I can, at least I'm good if I get 5 out of 7 days a week. But it's protecting my peace. I'm sure you heard me talk about it a lot. And what that looks like for me is, waking up at a certain time, usually it's 5:30 when everybody else is asleep. And it's starting my day off with 4 A's. Number one is appreciation. Reason being, I think we're seeing it in these times right now. Like, there's 150,000 people that die every single day. And we all know that stat. You can ask Siri, and you're still here. So I just find things to be grateful for. Like, gratefulness is like medicine for your soul. Like, it is. It's so good for you just to appreciate and love and gratitude. If I can tell anybody, they can have any type of talent, have a talent of being appreciative, because that can carry you through any storm and through any struggle in your life. The second A is affection. A hug a day keeps depression away. It's scientifically proven. So I wasn't a hugger, but now I'm a hugger. I hug my daughters. Tristan, he's a little bit hard to hug. He's 12 years old, so you know how that is. Hugging my wife. And if I can't hug, I will give value. And this is big. I make sure, especially when I wake up, I don't know about you guys, but especially in this quarantine, I've noticed some things about myself that I'm like, man, where is this coming from? And I know it's a lot of stress, a lot of worry that I wasn't even conscious of. But I'm like, why am I waking up in the middle of the night? Why am I waking up not feeling fulfilled? And anytime I'm feeling questioning my worth, which I do at times, or I'm feeling like I'm not enough, I always go to my inbox. And I want to be careful. Like, I know people say don't pick up your phone, but if you're picking up your phone to go serve, I think that can fill you up. And so what I do is I read a message or I give some type of encouragement because it lets me know I have value. A lot of people say, I don't have value. That's a lie. Go tell somebody how special they are. Watch you light their day up. And you wouldn't be able to light their day up if you didn't have that to give. And so that lets me know I have value inside of my heart. So yeah, appreciation. The third one is accomplishment. And how you start your day will influence your day. And so you want to start your day off with a win. I mean, you probably heard this before. It can be a win that has nothing to do with your business, has nothing to do with anything. It might be go picking up the dog's poop if you want to do that and check it off the box. It could be washing your dishes, whatever, folding clothes, just something to check the box. Scientifically proven that releases dopamine. It gets you in a better place. And last but not least, activity. Move your body. Movement influences mood. It's self-explanatory, you know, change your mood, move your body. For me, I'm about nature. I believe nature heals. I'm an advocate for nature. I don't always like the things in nature. Like, I'm not a snake person like that, but I love nature. So that's usually my day. And if I do that, I just notice I show up a better me to the world that needs me to be that greatest Trent.
Okay, so I'm like writing notes down, so like trying to keep up. Great, love that. I really like how you said add value to someone else. So like that's huge. And I'm starting to do that with like my team. So even just a reach out to say like, hey, like not even business related, just to check in with them to see how people are doing. That and the response you get back after you've chatted one-on-one with someone, just being like, hey, I'm just here for you if you ever need anything. The response you get back from that is just like, it actually fills you up so much that you just feel like you're like floating on cloud 9 throughout your day. So if you did that every morning or whenever throughout your day, how good would you feel? So like, I think that's so cool. All right. So what's the best advice you've ever received? Or like, you don't have to pick just one.
Yeah. The best advice I've ever received. One would be yourself. I know that's super simple, but my grandmother always told me that. And I realize how important that is. It seems like a small thing, but I realize how important that is. I wouldn't be in my position if I wouldn't have been authentically me. I can just tell you that right now. And it really worked for me, just even the space that I'm in, because I'm different, you know, in a space that doesn't look like me. Personal development world that, you know, you're not really going to see a lot of people with a hat with all this dreads and tattoos. And it was for so long, I wanted to trade in my identity at first. And I really didn't want to, but I was being influenced to. People were like, you should change who you are, change the way you speak, change the way you talk, change the way you dress. And I'm glad that I remember my grandmother telling me to be myself. And I want to tell y'all that, like, you were born to stand out, not to fit in. You were born to lead the crowd. And the thing about a leader is that a lot of people don't get it at first, when it's something different, when it's something fresh, when it's something new. But as you stay consistent with it, you can influence a whole bunch of people just by you walking in your truth. And by me doing that, you know, I've been able to influence a lot of people in my life. So definitely being myself. Two, the second piece of advice that I would say is actually on my wall right behind me. Just because you have some bad chapters doesn't mean your story can't end well. And that's something that somebody told me a different way. I put in some Trent words, my words, but it just lets me know that there's always a tomorrow. It lets me know we always have the power to change, to turn the page. Like, we can't rewrite past chapters, but we have the power to write new ones and better ones if we find the strength to change the page. And so every day I'm telling myself, today's a new beginning. You know, certain things have to end so better things can begin. And I just always remember those words in my heart, that you know what, just because you have some bad chapters doesn't mean your story can't be great. It can be great. Just because you made some past mistakes doesn't mean your story can be great. And actually, those mistakes really qualify you to help other people, because how could you help people get through it if you've never been through it? You know, so I realized everything that I've been through that sucked, that I hated, has helped me help other people get through it through experience. So those are two things that just really stick out.
Okay, walking in your truth. I think that's like when you own your story and you can be like authentically you, and like know that maybe you've gone through challenges, but you're like owning it, and you're inspiring other people to like go through those challenges and live, and like there's light at the end of the tunnel. I did a RVP training last week for the Canadian RVPs, and I actually had a quote from Brené Brown because she says it really well, and I'm trying to find it, but before I'm going to find it, but I'm going to ask you the next question. And that you kind of, pardon?
Can I get, I'm gonna give you guys a quote for that too. Like, a lot of people love this quote, and you might have heard me say it before, but your transparency will lead to your transformation. Just think about that. And your transparency will lead to other people's transformation. So let that sink in with you.
I love that. Oh my gosh, I love that. I want that to be my screensaver on my phone. Okay, so you touched on this a little bit, consistency.
Yeah.
Can you speak to that for us? Because we all know that consistency is like the key. Like if you, like, I'm just gonna let you talk. If you can speak to that more on like a business standpoint, because that's like, we're all Arbonne consultants, right?
Awesome, I got you. So I can talk about this for 3 hours. So with consistency, just think about it like this, right? Consistency makes anything legendary. Anything that you love, right? Anything that you buy, that you go, your favorite restaurant, the reason that you go there is because of consistency. That's it. It might not be the best food ever, but you know exactly what you're going to get from it. And so in your business, in your life, the question I would ask to you is, do people know exactly what they're going to get from you? And the problem that a lot of people have is that, for one, a lot of people don't have patience. A lot of people are very inconsistent. And so if you come with an on and off switch, people don't know what they're going to get from you. And so consistency makes you reliable. When you're reliable, you become trustworthy. Can people trust you to deliver? For the last 10 years, if you go to my Facebook page, it's going to be, or any page, you know you're going to get something, whether it's for you or not, it's going to be something to uplift you. Consistency makes you a go-to person. And you got to be able to consistently show up even when you don't feel like it. Like, that's the big thing. People want motivation, inspiration. Motivation, it's not enough. You know, it's not, because I'm not motivated every single day. And I still continue to show up. The thing that I would tell you about consistency, because I've talked about this a lot. I don't know if y'all heard me talk about it, but it usually blows people's mind, because the simplest thing that I told myself to help me be more consistent, I want to share it with you. So a lot of people, if you have a consistency problem, you feel like you have one, raise your hand. All right, just let me see. I'm going to let's swipe through a little bit. Okay, cool, right? Awesome, okay, cool. So a lot of us have consistency problems. Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. So consistency means that you do it every day, pretty much, right? We'll just take that as a definition of being consistent. Some you do every single day. You're consistent at it. Now, for the people that raised your hand, how many of you have worked a job? Obviously, it's not this one, right? But worked a job in your past that you hated, okay? And I don't know if maybe, I'm sure your boss isn't on here or nothing like that, so you'll be good. All right, so okay, cool. You raised your hand. Okay, so you fair enough to say you've been consistent, right? You went to that job every single day. You hated it. How many of you went to school, okay? And some of you maybe love school, but I went to school. I kind of liked it. I just knew I had to go so I can play NFL or college, right? But how many went to school for multiple years, right? And you didn't even like it, right? You hated school, right? A lot of us. So let's break that down for a second. So you just say you have a consistency problem, but yet I probably can spend time with you and probably tell you 5 things that you're very consistent at that you don't even like. So what does that mean? It means that if you can be consistent with the things that you don't like and hate, then why can't you be consistent with the things that you say you love? Let that sit in for a minute. If you can be consistent to the things that you don't like and hate, why can't you be consistent with the thing you said means your life, right? Means your dream. And the thing about people with dreams, they say, this is my dream, but you treat it like a hobby, right? So this is how I break it down. the reason why you're consistent at the things that you hate, you understand very vividly what's going to happen if you don't show up. Right? You understand that if I don't go to work, what's going to happen? You feel the pain of getting fired, not getting a paycheck, not being able to pay your bills. Like, you know the whole line of it. With school, you know if you don't go to school, what's going to happen. You know exactly what's going to happen, right? I'm going to fail out. I'm not going to be able to get my job and the American dream, all that stuff. So when it comes to your dream, the reason why you're not consistent is because you don't understand what it's costing you every single day by you not showing up. You don't understand the repercussions of you not showing up. And I understand it because some of us haven't got to the level. That's why it's important to have vision. You have to see yourself at a certain level so you can understand who is dependent on you to show up. Because it's bigger than you, especially in the business that you're in. There's a lot of people depending on you to show up. And if you're not being consistent at it, those people aren't benefiting off of you showing up. So you don't have a consistency problem. You have a commitment problem. You have an understanding how important this is problem. And so when you flip your mindset with that, and commitment means staying loyal to what you said you were going to do long after the motion has left you, when you really understand that, and you understand your why and your reason of why you're doing what you're doing, and I'm telling you right now, if it's external, I'm sorry I'm talking, but if it's external, then you will probably quit every single time it gets hard. More than likely. Because when the external things don't show up, you're going to stop showing up. When the money doesn't show up or, the clients don't show up, then you're going to give up. And that's a person that lacks faith. That's a person that lacks vision. When I first started, you know how many people would show up to my first speaking events for like the first year or two? It'd be like 10. And probably 9 of those people did it because they felt sorry for me. And I knew them personally. And if I would have believed those numbers, I would have stopped doing it. But I believe impact over numbers. I knew the reason why I was doing it. And I didn't care who showed up or who didn't. I knew I was going to show up regardless. And I signed up for it for the rest of my life. So when you sign up for the rest of your life, you have that type of commitment, you'll figure it out. If a way doesn't exist, you'll create a way. You'll find a way. Opportunity doesn't exist, you'll create your own opportunity. But if it's externally driven, likes, money, status, that doesn't show up, you're going to stop showing up. So make sure that your internal why is strong enough to push you through anything, any obstacle, any challenge. Your internal why.
Wow. I can see from the chat, like everyone is just loving this, Trent. Like, honestly, thank you for your generosity in coming onto this call. I just want to be really mindful because I know you said you have to get off at 8. So the last quick question we just have for you is, can you give us any tips or, words of wisdom around being authentically you and showing up on a social media platform and building a social media platform?
Absolutely. So there's so much I can talk about right here, but showing up as authentically yourself with social media is, number one, like, give yourself permission to not be perfect. I think when you're trying to be perfect, you're never gonna walk into your greatest version of yourself because you're walking on eggshells. You're walking on perfection eggshells. You're tiptoeing, right? You're not gonna expand. You're not gonna try different things. You're gonna stay. It's good to be focused. By the way, it's good to have tunnel vision, but sometimes being so focused can actually hinder you because you're not seeing other options, right? And so I would tell you to give yourself permission to not be perfect. Give yourself permission to fail, right? Because a lot of people are afraid of failure, but we all know failure is only when you stop trying. Failure is not when something doesn't work. Failure is not when, you do something, it doesn't go the way you want. That's called the journey, by the way. That's called part of the journey. And every person that has taken the journey and has gotten to a place where you might admire, a lot of those quote unquote failures take place, right? It just happens. And you got to get to the point where you actually are in love with the process of failing, because you know something great is going to come out of it. Like, I love difficulty. I love challenges. I love starting something and it doesn't work, because I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to find out a better way to make it work, because nothing can stop you from coming back except yourself. One thing about social media that I will say is, like, making sure you have page brand identity. So there's a lot of people who follow me and they say, hey, Trent, like, I'm a motivational speaker, right? Or I'm a motivational speaker. And I go to their page and nothing about their page says motivational speaker at all, right? It's like, how are you a motivational speaker? You have nothing about it on here. So make sure you have that page identity. So if I was to come to your page, I know exactly what you stand for. I know exactly what you believe in. I know exactly, what moves you, what motivates you. And I know exactly what I can come to you for, because the more people, back to consistency, the more people know that they can come to you for it, they're going to keep coming to you for it. And they're going to share you. Okay. They're going to share what you do. So I have tons of tips that I could talk about as far as like content wise and stuff like that. But I just feel like if you just give yourself permission to show up as you, you'll figure everything else out, because all of you ladies on here are talented. You're smart. You're open to learn. And I think those are the greatest gifts that you can have. And don't compare yourself on social media, again, because numbers do lie, by the way. And last but not least, as I get off of here, last but not least, I know sometimes with social media, the numbers game, the algorithm, the boogeyman can make us feel like less, right? And it can make us feel like, oh, like I really love this picture, but nobody really liked it. And I want to tell you something. I understand being strategic, all of those things. I'm not going to count that out because I'm strategic too with certain stuff. But make sure that you don't allow social media to put your creativity in the prison. You don't allow social media to make you feel less about yourself. If you like the picture, post it. If you feel like it's dope, or you feel like something that you created is awesome, post it. If everybody doesn't like it, doesn't matter. But as long as you touch one person, the reason I've been able to get, and I don't say these things to like brag, just to show you that it's possible. I think it's like 12 million people on Facebook. And the reason I got there is because I've never focused on numbers. I focused on impact. And I focused on just putting stuff out there, and hopefully somebody likes it. I'll tell you this, there's a person out there, I can guarantee you, and I know a person that has millions of followers, okay? Millions of followers doesn't impact hardly any, right? It's not making the people they follow lives better or anything. There's a person I know for a fact has 100 followers, and they're impacting all 100. Who's making a greater impact? Think about that on social media.
Oh, that don't focus on the numbers, focus on the impact. You guys, that are gone, right? 100%. So Trent, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you so much. And we just can't thank you enough.
Thank you so much. And I know I got to have another call. So, but if any of you have questions, like I'm always in my inbox. I try my best to respond as many as I can. So if you have questions, just know it's not just I'm on here and off. Like I